Chief Executive John Lee introduces the theme of tomorrow's policy address. Foreign Minister Wang Yi will visit the U.S. this week. Good evening and welcome. Chief Executive John Lee is set to deliver his second policy address tomorrow, outlining the government's major policies for the coming year and beyond. Lee said he will make use of President Xi Jinping's 4 expectations for Hong Kong as a blueprint.
Ahead of the weekly Executive Council meeting, Chief Executive John Lee unveiled the cover of the second policy address of his term. This year, the theme will focus on developing the economy and enhancing people's livelihood. The CE noted he's attended over 40 consultation sessions and talked to the public directly over the past few months. Through various channels, he's received some 8,700 opinion letters as well.
綠色咧係代表希望。
The cover of the policy address is going to be green again, representing life, hope, and harmony. I'd like to symbolize that Hong Kong transitioning from order to prosperity, and using the same color as last year, this represents a continuity. I echo President Xi's 4 musts and 4 expectations for Hong Kong, and that Hong Kong will thrive only if our young people thrive.
Meanwhile, as the District Council's nomination period is underway, some aspiring candidates from the Democratic camp said they're unable to garner votes from 3 district committees as required.
If they fail to get enough nominations, that means he cannot fulfill his duty as a district councillor, or maybe there is some reservation about his performance, or perhaps there is some doubt as to whether he is really patriotic and loves Hong Kong, and he really upholds the basic law and is loyal to the Hong Kong SAR. And someone who cannot fulfill these requirements is his own problem.
He added authorities have already referred around 300 cases to put candidates in touch with members of the 3 district committees, including the lesser-known newcomers. John Lee says it proves the mechanism is working well.
A retired man who performed the 2019 protest song Glory to Hong Kong multiple times on his Chinese erhu on the street has been sentenced to 30 days in prison after he was charged with playing an instrument in public places without a permit. He was granted bail. 69-year-old Li Jiexin appeared at the Sha-Tin Magistracy today. He was charged with playing the protest song and raising funds on several occasions in Mong Kok, Tai Wai and Central between August 2021 and September last year. Li admitted to engagement in fundraising activities and playing instruments in public places without prior permission and was convicted of a total of 7 charges. The judge said, owing to the politically charged lyrics of the song, the incident involved issues of national security. Google received 72 requests for takedown from the Hong Kong government in the first half of this year. That's the highest such figure since 2011. The latest Google Transparency Report revealed 3 reasons for the takedown requests, including issues related to national security, right to privacy, and identity theft. A total of 164 searches, including YouTube videos and ads, were involved. The tech giant removed around half of them, citing policy and legal reasons. Content not removed includes protest song Glory to Hong Kong and 5 documentaries featuring the 2019 protest activists. In breaking news, Beijing has dismissed Li Shangfu as Minister of National Defense and Qin Gang as State Councillor. Meanwhile, Foreign Minister Wang Yi will be in Washington for a 3-day visit starting on Thursday at the invitation of U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken. China says it hopes to manage differences with the U.S. through communication and to restore healthy bilateral ties.
Beijing's Foreign Ministry today confirmed that Foreign Minister Wang Yi will visit the United States from Thursday to Saturday at the invitation of U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken. Media reports also said Vice Premier He Lifeng is planning to visit the United States to meet with Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen and Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo. Mao Ning, spokesperson for the Foreign Ministry, called on the United States to work with China to manage differences and jointly push the bilateral ties back to the track of sound and stable development. The U.S. State Department said the visit is part of ongoing efforts to responsibly manage the U.S.-China relationship and to maintain open channels of communication. It's believed Wang Yi is also scheduled to meet with U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan. The foreign minister's visit will come just 4 months after Antony Blinken visited China and about 3 weeks ahead of the APEC summit in San Francisco. The latest development is seen as a sign that China-U.S. relations are gradually improving. Wang's visit is also believed to be paving way for a possible meeting between President Xi Jinping and U.S. President Joe Biden during the summit, although so far Beijing has not confirmed if Xi will attend. Separately, Wang Yi has spoken on the phone with the foreign ministers of Israel and Palestine, calling for a ceasefire urgently. Wang said the two-state solution is the only way to resolve the Israel-Palestine situation. He added China is concerned about the escalation of the conflict and that all sides should obey international law and protect the safety of civilians.
The death toll from airstrikes on the Gaza Strip keeps rising as Israel continues preparations for an expected ground attack. More than 5,000 Palestinians have reportedly been killed. The United States, meanwhile, said it is sending air defense systems to prevent a regional expansion of the war. Nazvi Karim has more.
Injured babies, children, and adults being treated at the Al-Shifa hospital in northern Gaza City. With a capacity for 700 patients, doctors must deal with 5,000 cases, with electricity and medical supplies running low. Another 45,000 people are outside, using the hospital and its surroundings as shelter from Israel's heavy airstrikes. Because they are in the north, none of these people will receive relief from the humanitarian aid supplies trickling into Gaza from Egypt across the Rafah border crossing in the south. Some 60 trucks have already crossed into Gaza. With residents struggling for essential life-saving supplies, United Nations agencies say it is merely a drop in the ocean for 2.3 million people. Israel is intensifying its airstrike on Gaza City and other parts of the north, which they believe are Hamas strongholds. Palestinian health officials say more than 5,000 people have been killed by Israeli bombing, around 2,000 of them children and 1,100 women. As Israel prepares for a ground attack to weed out Hamas, the U.S. says it will support Israel with air defense systems while also trying to minimize the human toll inside Gaza.
We've also seen over the course of the last few days an uptick in rocket and drone attacks by Iranian-backed proxy groups against military bases housing U.S. personnel in Iraq and Syria. And we're deeply concerned about the potential for any significant escalation of these attacks in the days ahead.
The Pentagon said it is also sending military advisors to Israel. The team includes Marine Corps Lieutenant General James Glynn, who led forces against Islamic State and served in Fallujah, Iraq. His job is to advise Israeli troops on mitigating civilian casualties in an expected urban combat inside Gaza. Iran-backed Hezbollah continues to exchange fire with Israeli forces along the Lebanese border, a potential flashpoint for an expansion of the war. Nazvi Karim, TVB News.
Still ahead on tonight's news. Heavy bottleneck at Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge on the eve of its 5th anniversary. 2 Hong Kong hotels make it into the world's top 4. 8 Republicans are now fighting to become the next House Speaker. Welcome back to TVB News. Cars were stuck for several hours on the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge last night. The frustrating scenes took place on the eve of its 5th anniversary as travellers returned from the mainland following the long weekend. Timothy Lee tells us more.
The bottleneck situation at the Zhuhai's Gongbei port was posted on social media by motorists. Some had to wait for 2 hours just to make their way to the passenger clearance building. Vehicles were ordered by the boundary crossing facility personnel to queue around the nearby parking lot. Many didn't reach home until midnight. Hong Kong Automobile Association Life Honorary Chairman Ringo Lee said the lack of clearance channels was among the main causes of the heavy traffic. He added increasing the flexibility and opening of more channels will help smooth the cross-border process. Regarding the number of departures during the Chongyang Festival long weekend, the Immigration Department recorded around 1 million residents entering the mainland via land and sea.
係推動香港同內地融合。
Chief Executive John Lee noted the increased people flow is a natural result of the government's work to better integrate Hong Kong into the mainland. The CE added he has requested different sectors to step up their effort to alleviate the traffic conditions at the border. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
The government has lost an appeal against the court's decision, which ruled the exclusion of same-sex couples in the city's inheritance law is unconstitutional. This comes after Edgar Ng, who married his same-sex partner in the UK in 2017, bought a subsidized flat where the two lived. Ng was worried that if he died without leaving behind a will, his property might not be passed on to his partner, so he lodged an appeal. Ng has since passed away. In 2020, the court ruled that the city's inheritance law is discriminatory and unconstitutional, which prompted the Department of Justice to challenge the decision. Today, a three-judge panel wrote that there's no reason foreign same-sex marriages cannot be similarly admitted as a matter of principle of equality of treatment. 2 Hong Kong hotels made it to the top 4 in the list of the world's top 50 hotels, according to the World's 50 Best Hotels Academy, in a ranking chosen by 580 leaders in the hospitality industry. Placing second was Rosewood Hong Kong in Tsim Sha Tsui, which opened 4 years ago. It also secured first place among hotels in Asia. Prices for one night at the hotel start at about $6,000. The Upper House, located in Admiralty, took 4th place. It is designed by Hong Kong architect Andre Fu. Experts said the city's high-quality hotels contribute to Hong Kong's competitiveness in global tourism. The JPEX cryptocurrency exchange scam has shocked the city, with over 2,000 victims at risk of losing more than $1.5 billion. Despite this, cryptocurrency has emerged as a significant asset class globally. Duncan Chiu, lawmaker for the Technology and Innovation constituency, said on TVB's Straight Talk program that Hong Kong should join the debate and there should be regulation by the government or the Securities and Futures Commission.
Cryptocurrency today valued at about $1 trillion US. And if you look at the stock market of Hong Kong, the total market capitalization of Hong Kong stock market today is $4 trillion US. So that is a huge market, and you see a lot of people participating in that, but the guideline is still not there. The thing is, for Hong Kong, if we want to remain as a financial center, we should maybe join the debate and look at how things evolve, and maybe it could be a huge market in the future. Then we should actually be the first to legislate it and let people know, okay, how to do it legally, heavily, and let the technology and the digital asset market grow.
Turkey's President Tayyip Erdogan has submitted the formal documents to the country's parliament to approve Sweden's NATO membership. Turkey was initially skeptical over Sweden's accession because they say the Scandinavian country is too soft on PKK militants. Hungary is the only other member not to agree to Sweden joining yet, but it is thought they will follow suit once Turkey agrees. Sweden has pushed to join NATO since Russia's invasion of Ukraine. A veteran diplomat and expert on U.S. affairs, Kenji Kanasugi, will be Japan's next ambassador to China. Unlike tradition, the 64-year-old ambassador to Indonesia is not a member of the so-called China School of Diplomats who received Chinese language training. Tokyo hopes Kanasugi can help to stabilize relations with Beijing, which has been strained over a number of issues. The Republican Party in the U.S. will continue to find a Speaker of the House of Representatives today. 8 new candidates have stepped forward to try to get the gavel after 3 weeks of gridlock. David Garrett with more.
Day 20 without a speaker, and the Republicans are going back to the start again.
They pushed the reset button last week. Okay, they're starting again. In other words, the logical successor to McCarthy, who was Steve Scalise, couldn't make it. The person who was most representative of the far right of the Republican caucus, he couldn't make it. It took him 3 ballots and he couldn't make it. So now they're back to square one.
Square one, but 8 candidates campaigning to get 217 Republican votes.
Look, my pitch is very simple. This is going to be a process where it's member-driven, not speaker-driven. We need to get back to work, secure our border, fund our government responsibly.
I didn't get in this to come in second or to lose, but I think I bring a different kind of background. Spending 25 years bringing organizations together.
The all-male list is a diverse bunch. A former McDonald's restaurant owner, an ex-hockey coach, lawyers. Some may benefit from an endorsement from Donald Trump, but even the former president's blessing did not help Jim Jordan, who tried and failed last week.
It's sort of a weird problem here, which is that they have a group in that party, sometimes as big as 90 people, who simply are willing to shut down the government and don't care about keeping the government functioning until, of course, it's shut down. And then the American people get really mad at them.
The federal government faces a shutdown in 3 weeks if Congress fails to pass funding. Without a speaker, the House is paralysed. So, on Tuesday, Republicans will try to get 8 down to 1, and then the hope is they all agree to back the latest chosen one to be the speaker.
Do you think we're going to have a speaker tomorrow night?
We might. We had some great candidates in there, and we'll go from this current group down to our designee, and I hope it's a productive endeavor.
David Garrett, TVB News.
In the U.S., at least 7 people were killed after a super fog led to a crash of 158 cars just west of New Orleans in state of Louisiana. This report from NBC News.
A massive pileup shutting down this interstate near New Orleans in both directions for hours. Pickup trucks stacked on top of each other. At least 2 18-wheelers erupting in flames.
For miles, look at it. It's crazy.
This was the scene on Interstate 55. At least 21 people were taken to the hospital, including 3 in critical condition, according to hospital officials.
This is a very demanding scene. This is a taxing scene for our first responders.
The cause of the 100-car wreck, likely a combination of dense fog and smoke from at least 3 wildfires burning in Louisiana that reduced visibility in the area to near zero. It's known as a super fog.
Superfog is when you have foggy conditions near a fire. We get the water droplets on all the debris that's in the air from the fire, and that makes the smoke even more dense. And the fog's so thick, it's horrendous for travel, sometimes down to zero visibility.
That fog has now lifted, but tonight many are still recovering from a crash unlike anything they'd seen before.
Look at this.
Priscilla Thompson, NBC News.
The world's oldest dog has died. Bobby, a Portuguese purebred Rafeiro Alitariano breed, died on Monday at the age of 31, Guinness World Records said. He lived for 31 years and 165 days, breaking a record held since 1939 by an Australian cattle dog. Bobby spent his entire life in a village in central Portugal. His owner, Leonel Costa, attributed his longevity to a number of factors, including living in peace in the countryside, never having been chained up or kept on a leash, and eating human food. That's the news. Thanks for watching.